Hello everyone, welcome to GyanMimansa. So most of you must know that this is our ninth video in the video series where we are covering the Lakshmikant chapter wise. In a few weeks, we will also be bringing the Shankar IAS for environment and ecology. We will also be covering the whole environment and ecology chapter wise from Shankar IAS. And slowly we will also be bringing the spectrum, Indian history, and so on, hence and so forth. So we'll try to cover all the standard books which are essential for UPSC. So you can stay tuned for the videos. In this series, we are bringing one video every Monday to Friday at 6:15 p.m. We are covering one chapter daily. And apart from that, some ancillary videos are also coming. For example, after the fundamental rights, as promised, I have also brought special videos on Article 14. I'll be bringing videos on all the relevant topics, some judgments also, the fundamental rights versus DPSP controversy, amendability controversy. So a lot of controversies in the Indian polity since 1950, and also some current topics. So we'll try to cover whole of the polity and GS paper 2 mains also, and for prelims also comprehensively. These videos will be more helpful for those who haven't read the Indian polity, so they will make it easier for you. And for those who have already read Indian polity, Lakshmikant, they are good source of revision. We are trying to bring small video without wasting much time. Let's start today's topic, that is the fundamental duties. So this is the ninth video. So every one of you must be very aware that where there are rights, there must be some duties. So rights and duties must go hand in hand, because if they may not go hand in hand, so people may not be aware enough or responsible enough to abide by the duties. So for this, there are fundamental duties within Indian Constitution provided. And now we'll talk about what are the duties, how they came into Indian Constitution. So they are inspired from a Constitution of USSR, and they were not present in the original Constitution, and they were added by 42nd Amendment in the Indian Constitution in 1976. They were added on the recommendation of Sardar Saran Singh Committee, and on the recommendation by the Act, there was Part 4 inserted into Indian Constitution just after the DPSP, and Article 51A was inserted. And under Article 51A, originally there were 10 duties, and by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, where right to education was given a fundamental right from 6 to 14 years of children, there was one more duty, 11 duty was added. So let's look at the duties, the 11 duties. What are the fundamental duties that you, me, every citizen of India must abide? First is to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, national flag and national anthem. Here, institutions like UPSC. UPSC is one constitutional institution. Similarly, there are a lot of constitutional institutions, the Institute of President, the Institute of Prime Minister. They are not single person, they are in themselves institutions. So to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, to respect the national flag and the national anthem. So this is one of the first duties. Second is to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of the country of India, to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so, to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst us, all people of India, transcending religious, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities. So even though there are a lot of religious, linguistic, regional and sectional diversity, but we need to bring the spirit of common brotherhood within the country, within the people of the country, and to renounce any practices that are derogatory to dignity of the women. So this is again a very important duty. Moving ahead, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures, to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. Again, very important part. We cannot be guided by the orthodox philosophies, but develop scientific temper, because it is the era of science when we need to develop technology and we need to develop the scientific temper. Also humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reform. These are few things that Constitution has stipulated for us to follow. To safeguard public property and observe violence, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activities. So we need to strive for the excellence, not only individual, but also in the form of collective as a country, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. So individual and collective to bring the nation on the top of the world. That is the whole point, right? Being a person of a country, being a citizen of a country, being an Indian, what we want India to rise, right? And how we can bring it through collective activities, right? And for that, we need to bring excellence, right? And this 11th fundamental duty under Article 51A was added by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, as I've already discussed. Who is the parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 to 14 years. So this was under Right to Education Act. To a parent or guardian, this is a duty specific to a parent or a guardian to provide with their children or their ward, whatever the case may be, for the education, to provide the education from 6 to 14 years, because this is a free education available through the government of India, right? So these are the 11 fundamental duties. Now we need to look into it, the features. What are the features? So some of these are moral duties, while others are civic duties. For example, to preserve the rich heritage and composite culture, this is a kind of moral duty, right? And to develop scientific temper, humanism, this is again a moral duty. But for a parent to provide education, this is a civic duty. Okay, to safeguard the public property and observe violence, this is again a civic duty. To abide by the Constitution, again a moral duty. So these are a blend of moral and civic duties. These are part of Indian tradition, mythology, religions, and practices. It is not that they have been brought from somewhere else. They are already inherited in our culture, in our customs, in our religion, but they are just been documented by they were just being documented by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Then these duties are confined to citizens only. Okay, then they do not extend to the foreigners. Okay, moving ahead, these duties are not justiciable, as the DPSPs were not justiciable. These duties are also non-justiciable. That means they cannot be enforced by the court of law, but they can be enforced by the parliament. So court cannot enforce fundamental duties until and unless there is a law, and parliament by a law can enforce any fundamental duties as the matter, right? So these are the significant features of the fundamental duties. Now, when there are features, there will always be some criticism. So what are the criticisms of the fundamental duties? Let's have a look. List does not cover some other important duties like casting vote, paying taxes, etc. Right? So in a democracy, casting vote should be one of the biggest duty of a citizen. So while we are talking about this fundamental duties, so you saw in the 11 duties, there was nowhere mentioned about the casting of vote, right? So they missed this. So this is a criticism, right? Then there is paying taxes has also not been mentioned within the fundamental duties, although paying taxes is our legal duties, right? If we are within the tax bracket, so we have to pay the taxes in case of direct taxes, and indirect taxes we are paying even while buying a toothbrush also we are paying indirect taxes, although it is not mentioned in the fundamental duties, but I think that it is already present as a legal duty. Then some duties are vague, ambiguous, and difficult to understand. For example, if we look into this first, to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, right? So this is something we cannot, we cannot comprehend or we cannot quantify how to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals, right? Second, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle of freedom. So we do not know what are those particular ideals. Yeah, although we can understand those ideals, but we cannot say how to cherish them, right? How to follow them. Maybe due to changing scenario, it may have changed. So some of them are very ambiguous and difficult to understand. Then again, the non-justiciable character is being criticized. Okay, some of them are a little superfluous, over the head, right? Then some of people criticize fundamental duties just as appendix to the part 4, that is the DPSPs, right? And hence the significance is little less, because part 4 and part 4A, although it is a separate part, but some may think that part 4 is an appendix to part 4 is an appendage to part 4 and may not be that significant. So if a total separate part would have been created, similarly the article 51A, right? So some of them criticize for the placement of fundamental duties after the DPSPs. Some of them may say that they must have been placed after the fundamental rights. Okay. Then what are the significance of fundamental duties? So even though they are not justiciable, but they are constantly reminding citizens that while we are enjoying our rights, we also have certain duties that we need to follow. Okay. Second, they are also serving as warning for anti-national and anti-socialist activities. For example, if we look at the duties, okay, if we look at these duties to safeguard public property and absorb violence, for example, I'm just giving you one example, right? So while talking about this duty, we can say that, okay, they are constantly reminding and also being as warning for against anti-national activities, right? Then this serve as source of inspiration for citizens. This is one of the most important part of the fundamental duties, that while they are not justiciable, but people may not just work due to deterrence of punishment, but also may work due to some inspirations, right? And while they are explicitly mentioned in our constitution, these fundamental duties, these are very much inspiring, right? They may inspire a lot of citizens to do good work, to abide by the duties, although non-justiciable. So here we can say that it is not only the law or the deterrence of the law that people work for. People are inherently good and they may have some inspiration to work if it is present in the rule book of the country, because most of the people in our country, they definitely respect the constitution, as they know that constitution is the highest guiding body for our politics or for our democracy, right? Moving ahead, it helps court in examining and determining the constitutional validity of law. So you must have heard a lot of time any XYZ particular law comes to the court. Some of them are some of the opposition members or anyone is filing, cases against the law that this particular law is extra constitutional, non-constitutional, unconstitutional. But Supreme Court, while examining those laws, can use fundamental duties. For example, if any law is being passed by the parliament to fulfill any fundamental duty, so the Supreme Court may or may not, depending on their own judgment, may not declare it unconstitutional, because they can find it within the Part 4A of Indian Constitution, right? Very important part. Moving ahead, we can go with a few questions, because this was all about fundamental duties. So in the question, what can be there? Sometimes they may give you 4 options and may ask which of the following is or are not the fundamental duties, or are the fundamental duties, right? Or they may ask you and give you any of the fundamental duties and ask you in which part of Indian Constitution you can find the following. Then the options could be fundamental rights, DPSPs, fundamental duties, preamble, etc. Right? So UPSC is also asking this kind of question. 2 questions being asked in 2017 related to fundamental duties. Question number 1, in the context of India, which one of the following is the correct relationship between rights and the duties? So there are 4 options. Please answer it and write in the comment box below. Question number 2 is, which of the following statement is true of the fundamental duties of an Indian citizen? First, a legislative process has been provided to enforce these duties. They are correlative to legal duties. So you also need to answer this. Try to answer both and comment in the comment box below. For any other queries, you can email us at info@gyanmimansa.com. Also, we have started the free answer writing practice for all the aspirants who are willing. We'll be providing 1 question every day from Monday to Friday. And you can join our Telegram group for further information and writing answers. They will be evaluated by experts. Thank you. All the very best.